2 Chronicles 24, verses 17 through 19 says, "But after the death of Jehoiada, the officials of Judah came and bowed down to the king. And the king listened to them, and they abandoned the house of the Lord and God of their fathers, and served the Asherim and the idols. So wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for their sins and their guilt. Yet he sent prophets to bring them back to the Lord. Though they testified against them, they would not listen." Well, if you're joining us in reading through this 90-day reading plan, today's reading is 2 Chronicles 24, 8 through 27, and I encourage you to read that passage. Well, the ending of Jehoiada's life brought a major change. Joash stopped listening to what was correct and started listening to the officials of the house of Judah. They convinced him that what he had done in the past was over and that he should change and worship idols in the Asherim. This was a complete reversal of what had occurred before and prior to Jehoiada's death. There's a direct comparison to this to what's happening in this country and today and what happened at the end of Joash's life. During the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, there was a religious tone in the United States. Certainly not all of those were religious were Christians, but certainly they understood that there was a God and that there was a value system based on Judeo-Christian principles. And as the 50s progressed, so did the belief in God. But by the 60s, people were beginning to question that God even existed. In the 70s, there was an assumption it was okay to be religious, but don't put that faith into your life or anybody else's for that matter. By the 70s and 80s, people began to question morality in general, and that progressed through the 90s. And by the year 2000, one major political party began to question whether or not they should even mention God in their platform. And today our world has become so dramatically changed that somebody who was living in the 50s would not even recognize it. Now today it is popular to question whether or not genes matter. Today in the United States you may decide whether you're a boy or a girl or have no sex at all. There's no relationship to any particular God because the fastest growing group of people are the nones, the ones who don't hold any religious affiliation. And yet our politicians are trying hard as they can to get along with this kind of thinking. Paul writes in Romans 1:22-23, "Professing to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the incorruptible God for the image and the form of corruptible man and of birds and of four-footed animals and crawling creatures." This is exactly what we have become, and the only way to change that is by our repentance and returning to our first love.